All things considered. I'm Dave Lawrence. This is a cat that we had on. It was this same month last year, right, that you were here doing this. A guy who has been a fixture in the Hawaii music scene for many, many decades. The late, great Tom Moffat used to say, one of Hawaii's favorite bands, and he would be talking about Tower of Power, and its band leader, sax player Emilio Castillo. He's joining us here at the Blue Note at the start of their run that they've got of dates. Welcome back. Great to see you again.
Thanks, Dave. Good to be back. I miss Tom Moffat.
I bet you do. When I mentioned his name, I saw you smile big time. What's the first thing that came to mind?
I was just thinking today, I was telling I just got married. We were out there in the water, her and I was looking at, she's new to Hawaii, I go, that's Diamond Head right there. And I said, yeah, I used to play at the Crater, and Tom Moffat with all those shows. Bill Graham would be in the background, and just a lot of great memories, man. He was just a great host.
And that's another thing about you. You just kind of mentioned you're heavily connected to Bill Graham.
Yeah, I got a lot of stories about Bill, for sure. I remember the first time I went to the Fillmore West to go see Chicago. Just got signed to the Fillmore people. They said, we want you to come and see this band. But there was a big line, and we didn't know. We were with the Fillmore people, so do we just go to the front, or we didn't know what to do? And then we thought, well, it's a big line, so we thought, well, let's go up and ask. We start going up in front. We get to the stairs, and here comes Bill with this guy, and he throws him down the stairs. He goes, get out, and don't come back ever. We're like, And we didn't even go in and see Chicago. We just split. We were so afraid.
That's your first encounter with?
Yeah, this is our new manager.
I love it. That's what I mean. This guy, he can just roll off the crazy stories. That's a kind of representation of the way that you guys have been embedded in a lot of different cultural things. And before we started the interview, you just rattled off another one. You're doing a new TV theme.
Yeah, Entertainment Tonight. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Now we kind of funked it up a little bit. Our horn section just did the new theme for Entertainment Tonight. And, it's the same theme, but there's kind of like ba-da-da-da-da-da, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, these little extra accents.
Kind of like how with the James Bond theme, they reinvent it.
Yeah, exactly. We were just elated that they asked us to do it.
A lot of people have wanted you to be on their records. I just wanted to throw some of those names at you because we've never, in all the times we've talked about so many different things, but never that. So take me back to, here's one, and if you don't have a story, I can barely remember it or whatever. Cantner Slick, Sunfighter, and this is Paul Cantner, Grace Slick. It was right at the very start.
I have no memory of that.
That's what I figured.
I remember doing Starship. I played on Jane. Right. Me and my partner Doc and Mick Gillette. We played these low notes in the bridge.
Huge hit.
Yeah, big hit. Yeah, Jane. I knew the producer really well. What's his name? Ron Nevison. Right, okay. And he just called us in. He said, I think you have to beef up this bridge section. And we said, well, are there any parts? He goes, no. I guess he can figure it out. And it was just like, bomb, 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 bomb. Yeah, we can figure that out.
Santana's Everybody's Everything.
Yeah, that was the second session we ever did. Okay. The first one was Nick Gravenites, who sang for Big Brother and the Holding Company. He called us up in the middle of the night. He says, hey, we're over here at Wally Hyder's. Wow. We got this song named Funky Jim, and we think it'd be great with your horns on it. So we drove over there. We put on these parts real quick, and we're walking out, and he gives us some money. We're like, what's this for? And he goes, just for coming down. We're like, wow, thanks. We thought it was just fun. And then it wasn't even a month later, I would get a call again in the middle of the night. Carlos Santana, hey, we're over here at Columbia Studios, and we got this song, Everybody's Everything. We think it'd be great if you put some horns on it. He might have heard about it from Nick Gravenites. I don't know. But anyway, we drove over there, really easy, Literally within 1 week, it was on the radio. It was a smash hit. And they're going, that's Santana with the Tower of Power horns. And we're like, wow, man. And it was the same thing. When we finished the session, he gave us money. And we're like, oh, thanks, And then we started realizing, we might have a little side gig here for the rest of our lives.
So you began to turn it into that, I'm assuming, right? You didn't always possibly.
We did a couple more sessions, and then our manager at the time said, we should make a booklet, send it out to every producer, every artist, every booking agent, every manager. And we had a quote from Elton John. The quote was from Cream magazine, and it said, they not only play great, they look great as well.
So it was like kind of like to sell you guys as a product for people to use.
Yeah, Elton we recorded like 3 or 4 days. Caribou, the album. Played on the Bitch's Back and a song called Stinker. We did a bunch of songs on that record. Not all of them were used on the record, but we recorded for 3 days. Elton wasn't there, but Elton showed up a short time later. We were doing this big tour for Warner Brothers called the Warner Brothers Music Show. And we were in London at the Rainbow Theatre. And he came to see us. Shortly after the record came out, he did that Quote and Cream magazine about us, you know. And he showed up real nice, you know, and very supportive. And Keith Richards was there, and, you know, a lot of famous people were showing up. Because we were there with Little Feat and the Doobie Brothers and Graham Central Station and Montrose. And it was a 6-band tour, 42 cities of Europe.
And some of these cats would just keep factoring in. You just mentioned the Montrose. You were doing this with Sammy as well.
Yeah, and we've recorded with Sammy actually a couple of times. Right. We did a record. We also did a live King Biscuit Flower Hour with him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Sammy's a good friend, yeah.
Billy Preston.
Oh, man. Billy Preston was so awesome. And I've had a few occasions with him. On his recording, I remember we went in to do his recording, and Billy Preston, at one point we were sort of standing there. We weren't playing. It was between takes. And I'm hearing this amazing piano. I look over and he's in the room. He's playing just extemporaneously and just great, you know. And then years later, I mean 45 years later, I'm doing a session in Phoenix, my new hometown at that point, for the Phoenix Suns. And they're doing Soul Man, that song by Sam and Dave, because it was a session for Sam Moore from Sam and Dave. And they're doing a commercial for the Phoenix Suns. So it was, instead of I'm a soul man, it was I'm a Suns fan, you know. And I remember Billy Preston was the producer, and they had a bunch of guys from town, from another sort of Tower Power wannabe band, and some of the guys they were playing, like they had a baritone sax player, but he was playing way in the top register, and you know they had a trombone player, and he was you know. And I looked at it, I go, wait a minute, I go, you guys should play it down an octave, you know. And they go, but it's written. I go, I don't care where it's written. Take everything down an octave, you know. And they go, you know. And so I go, now play it again. And they go, ba-da-la-la-la-la, you know. Billy Preston presses the chalk, but he goes, do whatever he says.
What a great memory. Huge amount of sessions, too, that you've done. As we wrap it up, is there a favorite? I mean, again, when you have the volume of them that the TOP horns have done, it's understandable that there may not be one. But if there is just something that I didn't touch on that is a little bit more significant to you.
Well, you know, there's a lot of great ones, so I can't say this is my favorite, but it was a great session. We did it at George Lucas Studio up in the Bay. Another Sam and Dave song, it was When Something's Wrong with My Baby, and it was Linda Ronstadt and Aaron Neville, and they got the Grammy for that. And that was a really classy session, and Linda Ronstadt was great, although we did have a little scene happen. My arranger, Greg Adams, who was the trumpet player at the time, they were very specific. They didn't want any smoking. Linda just hated smoking, pot or cigarettes. She didn't want any kind of smoke on the premises. And we did such a great job in the session. I guess he felt like, oh, it's okay to fire up. And she got really uptight for about 30 seconds, you know, and he put it out and that was it. But
is that herb?
No, a cigarette. It wasn't that stupid. It really came out good. And then, like I said, they did get the Grammy.
It's a great note to leave it on. It's a wonderful career. Looking forward to this run of dates. You're back and here at the Blue Note for the weekend. Thanks for being back on All Things Considered with me, Emilio.
Thanks, Dave. Every time. Great.